Hello everyone, Don here again with the next update on the 83 Mustang restoration project. Alright, this week turned out to be a lot better temperature wise. So I actually did manage to get out here in the middle of the week and get some welding done. That work was all done underneath the vehicle. I'm going to show you what I got going on in the inside before I roll it over and show you what I did underneath. But on my last video you've seen that I had got these plates bent up and fitted in. Now you can see I physically welded them all in. And then I just did some stitch weldings here and there. You can see there's two there, one there, there. And on the bottom I drilled 4 holes through this plate to get into where the rear frame comes in. The frame comes back through here, and this is just inside the frame, so I welded underneath, but this welds right through into the original panel back here. And then there's a stitch weld underneath here, another one here. And it's welded all the way up around the corners. And then both sides are the same. And I filled in these corners, but you can see they're all welded in now. I got that welded. You can see all the stitches across the bottom and across the top, all the way around. Welded those brace pieces here, welded those back in, and stitch welded around and around the front. So, and again over here, same situation. Everything's welded, stitch welded, welded the spot welds around all those pieces. So, and what I did is I left these holes open here. These holes are for the plastic trim that comes down. There's a screw that goes down in, and they give you a slot so you can hit the slot because adjusting the trim piece. But I was able to maintain all the slots for the screw holes. There's one there, and I welded on each side of it. So there's at least how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's a screw hole here, another screw hole back there for all the interior trim panels. So, so those are all done. And I just finished up tonight welding that in. So that's all closed up now. It didn't warp too badly. It did get some warping, but I was able to kind of tamp it down and run a sanding block over it, see what it looks like, and it's going to be good. Get back here, and the rough line is still in good shape. There's very faint warp in there, but I can probably still tap on that and get her fairly smooth, and then fill her, do the rest. And again, this will be filled. Oh, and then finally, I did come in and weld up that hole. Once I cleaned the rust out of it, actually turned out that there was 3 holes in there. So I got that welded, and then I found these 2 here. When I rubbed off some rust, they had rusted through too. Those are 2 spot welds that go into some of the rear suspension. These are the same 2 spot welds. Where they had to be right there. Yeah, there's two spot welds right there. That's basically those 2. So finally, this is all done. This is finished. That's finished. So I think I'm pretty much done now. And so we got one more thing I forgot. I'm still going to get some plates put in here and weld those in, front and rear, reinforce that. And then hopefully that'll be the last of the welding. I don't believe there's anything left back in here that needs welded. Everything just needs clean now. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and roll this thing over, show you the underside. Let's see, we just kind of set this down here. You're not going to be able to see me. But yeah, if you ever build a rotisserie, man, this thing is the cat's ass here. You can stop this thing anywhere you want, and it really comes in handy when you're trying to weld all over the place. And put this thing at any angle you want, and it does the trick. So again, that's just a brake adjuster for a semi-trailer for the air brakes. It allows you to adjust the what they call the S shaft for as the brake shoes wear on the drums. These are the air drum pancake actually pushes on this, twists the shaft, and the shaft has a S-curve that turns and pushes the brake drums out. So that's all that is. I got that really cheap on eBay. I mean, it was really, really cheap. It was like $12 or $15 for that thing. And then again, these are just some cheap wheel bearing hubs off of eBay as well. Even though this thing is kind of rickety, I haven't had any problem with it. I've been crawling in and out of this car. Alright, so let's see. As you can see, I finally got, I guess I should have rolled it. Rolled it farther. Let me do that real quick. I'm gonna turn it so this side's facing out, the bottom's facing out. Getting a little off center again on the weight because I've added all this steel in here, and I've added finally got both of these torque boxes finished up. I got that finished welded in, and I got that one all welded in. It's welded all the way around both sides. And then the other thing I did during the week is I went through here and I welded the upper control arm brackets everywhere, all the way around. I could weld them back up in there. I didn't get across here, it's a little too hard to get at, but I was able to get in around all the way around these things. So these are really heavy. I mean, these are pushing 100 thousandths thick, not quite 1/8 inch, but close. So they're pretty strong. But I just went through and welded everything up more solid, you know, because these are just spot welds, two or three spot welds and all this stuff. So now it's welded into this heavier plate. It's fairly heavy, and then you got your tin for the floor pan. So you can see it's all welded up. Now, the one last thing, like I mentioned before, is I need to come down 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So I'm probably going to have to kind of cut out some of this lip off of these things and run an extension out here. I can't put them on the inside because the control arms have to fit there. But I need to drop this hole at least 1 inch, 1.5 inches preferably. And then with that, I'm going to have maybe 3 holes, maybe 3/4 and 1.5 inches. So I'll have 3 positions there. And then you got your 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 holes in that. But like I said, some of these I can't use because the control arm won't physically clear a stock. Well, the lowers will be stock, but the uppers I'm going to have to make adjustable for the set and pinion angle once I get these all set. So that's what I did during the week. Is I came out and started to measure up for subframe connectors. I popped this patch out and I was measuring up for a subframe. These things are offset. This one is lower than the frame. You can see the frame's up higher than this is. It's like 1 inch, 1/2 inch to 1 inch off. So the frame actually is coming and dogleg over to be center to center. Most subframes set on top of this, come back across, set on top, and then they weld around here. I want to make it so it's kind of flush from this point and come off, kind of follow the floor more. I was thinking of following the actual floor pan with a 2x2 box and then just cut it, notch it so it all fits right in there, and then do like this, weld a seam on it, and then I can weld it across here so it looks more stock. The other ones, you know, they're about 1 inch thick. Some of them go as much as 2-inch square tubing, so they tend to stick out a lot and it creates a even lower spot in the car. But I wanted to make something a little more lower to the ground, lower to the floor pan, that is. Grab a ruler here real quick and show you. It hits right here. So I'm touching up front. It's hitting there, but it's not touching back here by 1/2 inch. And I think if you was to grind this down, it would be pretty flush. Yeah, I mean it's touching right there. 1 second, I'll show you this. Let's get this thing settled. But it's touching there. just touches the floor there, and it touches there. So, I mean, this is the deepest part right here, this V. But I want to do something a little more low profile. And then this stuff is all ready for some primer. I'll give it a good coat of the etching primer, green etching primer. And then I just need to finish cleaning up. You can see where some of my welds came through from welding all that stuff up. And then here's where, right there, you can see where those welds came through and caught that real good. So that'll strengthen that wall even more because it's now physically welded right to that. So that was the idea. And then again, you got the window in here, so you got your bolts in, both sides. But this welding is all finished. Nothing else under here that I know of needs welded, other than making another attach point here a little lower, weld that up, and get subframes in. So that's kind of where I'm at now. This is the 2nd of May already. So since I got all this done, I wanted to get all this welding done, and it is now done. There's the top of the floor where that piece is welded in, and you can see there where the welds came all the way through for those reinforcements in the sides. So now this is going to be way stiffer, so when I go to cut the top out of this thing for the T-tops, it should not flex as much. I'm sure it'll still flex some, but I'll work with that. I'll probably put the car down on frames, jack stands, when I cut the roof out, but everything will be measured. There'll be reference points on the body, so when I go to put in the T-top frame, it will be in the correct position. Everything will be back into its stock dimensions. So what I was getting at was, since I got all this welding done, I need to buy the materials. Here you can get a good view of those, how much that frame is offset. Right here to back there. You can see it's offset. It's wider in the back. But now I'm happy I got that all welded up. I got these hood hinges finally welded up. Got the back of that roof welded up. Let me see if I can get a little closer shot of that for you. That was tedious, man. That took me probably damn near 2 hours to weld this sucker in. That's really fine welding with a TIG. I did run some flap sander, disc sander, a little round 3-inch disc on there to knock high spots down, and I took a cutoff wheel and run it in the corner, you know, to kind of smooth it out too, because this thing tended to want to burn through real easy, and I was using a very small tungsten tip. So, but you get into those tight corners, more cobwebs, tight corners, and it takes a lot more heat, and then next thing you know, it just blasts a hole right through it. Alright, but like I was saying, now that I've got all this heavy welding work finished, just finished up these last 2 items and 3 floor braces for the seats, get some material. But now I think I'll get back onto that. I've been thinking about what I need to work on first. What I do need to do is get the thing up on the cherry picker and swing the gear. The gear has been swung since I've had it inverted and flipped it back up right side up. And also I need to get those landing gears folded up into the wing so I can make the covers out of this. There's a small cover that goes on the front of the landing gear here. It comes out, spans around, and tapers off to the side of one side, but it fills in the hole after the gear's up in there. So I need to make those, but I need to retract it. I'll cut a pattern off of the blueprints. I think it's some spots it's a little small, so I'm going to have to adjust the pattern, get those cut. And then again, this opening right here gets a strip of that aluminum as well, so I got to make 2 of those, 2 of these. And then I need to get the tail cone, another layer of fiberglass on the inside of that tail cone to stiffen it up, put a tail light in it, and then I still need to make the trim tab for that little notch right there. This little notch has got to be trim tabbed. The servo motor is mounted in the bottom side of that. Still need to make those little covers. Need to adjust the gear doors, so when I do the gear swing, I have to make sure the gear doors are adjusted right, so when they go up, they close. And then, of course, the big bear is the canopy. Now let's say this past week we had 2 nice days that were in the 70s, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then Thursday it rained all day, 40s, 50s. Friday it was barely 50 something. Yesterday was, I don't even think it hit 60, and then today it's 76 degrees out. And then tomorrow it's supposed to be 60s and rain again. But I need to get this thing massaged out a little more, and then find me some plexiglass. I've still been kind of hunting around for some 1/8 inch plexi locally instead of buying it online somewhere, because the shipping for cost for that stuff is kind of goes through the roof. Costs more than a damn material. And in plastics, because it's a petroleum product, is all up in price right now. Same with metal, woods, anything fabricating related is just through the roof. So I'm gonna go ahead and have to clean this place out a little bit, get some of these car parts tucked away somewhere out of the way, and then I can start fiddling with this thing. But I think one of the first things I might try is swinging the gear, because I haven't done that in a while. Get the gear swung, and I got to finish the linkage on the gear doors to get those tied up. So you guys can look forward to that. So maybe next week's video I'll be on this thing. That was the plan. The end of this, well, the end of April, beginning of this March, May. Get that started. So not a lot to do. I got to pull the tank out. It's pretty much empty, so it'll be nice and light. I just get in, unhook the turnbuckles, disconnect the fuel lines, and unplug the fuel pumps and pull that tank out of there. I need to touch up the blue paint around there, because all that had to be cut out after it was painted. And then messing around with it tend to chip some of the paint, like there, you know, from the cowling, trying to fit the cowling, you know, chafed there, so I got to touch all this stuff up. But all this little stuff here I need to touch up. And paint some framework around the windshield so it looks like it's got a frame. So, alright folks, I guess that's going to do it for this week's updates. So it's pretty much the update, maybe the final update on the Mustang. I'll probably still be tinkering with it too, but I'm going to try and put my concentration on that. I just renewed the tail number. I had to reserve an N number for it. Like I said before, the 86 is the last 2 digits of the serial number for this Corsair I'm modeled after. The full number is 18086, and that's the N number I have reserved for the Corsair. And once the airplane is inspected and by the FAA and they give me an airworthiness certificate, then you can put that registration N number on the plane. So, alright, so this is kind of a mixed hybrid here of 83 Mustang restoration and a hint of the Corsair, back to work on the Corsair for the updates for that. So, alright folks, as always, feel free to leave any comments, questions, or concerns, and I'll answer them as they come along. And stay tuned. The weather's getting really nice now, finally coming around. I'll be most likely hitting these things every week. So hopefully next week you'll see some updates on the Corsair. So as always, thanks for taking time to watch my videos, and I'll catch you guys next week. This is Down to Dawn out.